What's going on?
Like everything like super fucking high, like real high. It ain't even got nothing to do with the board. Everything is coming in super fucking hot, man. And not letting me turn it the fuck down either. You understand that? What the fuck is that about? Nobody gonna be allowed to engineer but me. And touching shit they ain't supposed to be touching.
We ready?
Yeah, one second. Come on, man.
Huh?
It's like somebody turned the whole system of sky fucking hot. What the fuck is going on?
Who was engineering before you?
It ain't supposed to be like that. But it's like way the fuck up, like super fucking.
Hold on, y'all.
Super high. Like what the fuck is that about? Hold on. I couldn't even record it. USB.
Hold on, take this. Hold on, Facebook people. Sorry.
Let's see if I can turn the light down. So.
1 second. Waiting. Hey, Joy. Sorry about your cousin. Hey, Joy, just getting everything together.
We're good.
All right. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Huh?
Ready?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. What's up? All right. Welcome to another edition of Headlines and Headaches. I'm your host, Larry H. Gardner. Thank you for all the patient Facebook Live people that saw me doing that. Shout out to engineer, the super engineer, EP, the show host. By the way, October 2nd, just want to say Hot Mess in the Morning is coming back with Miss Mickey and Poison Ivy on Voice of Radio. You want your Hot Mess in the Morning from 10 to 2 starting October 2nd, 2020. Bringing that the return of Hot Mess in the Morning. Shout out to Poison Ivy and her bundle of joy, a little girl she had, and shout out to Miss Mickey coming back to voice it. Today is September 11th, 2020, and the reason why this date is significant is because it is 9/11. Now, the point of 9/11 is that 19 years ago, America was attacked by terrorists through planes. The World Trade Towers crumbled and crushed and fell, and the thing is that a lot of lives were lost. I think 30 to 40,000 lives were lost in the World Trade Towers. Some people saw the first plane come to the World Trade Towers, smashing into the top of the buildings, and then the second plane was about to hit. People jumped to their deaths not to get hit by the planes. First responders, the world stood still. That was the first time that the world heard, well, not really, but Osama bin Laden. So that was the terrorist group that was Al-Qaeda and all that. That's what led off to the terrorists and everything. Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, and all the things of that nature. President Obama, by the way, led the SEAL Team 6 team that pretty much shot and killed Osama bin Laden. But the 9/11 attacks were under the watch of President George W. Bush. The reason why is because they were watching the elections, and they said if George W. Bush was elected over Al Gore, Vice President Al Gore, under the Clinton administration, that they would attack. Well, Bush won. The World Trade Tower was lost. Not blaming him personally, but the thing about it is like Osama bin Laden and them were our allies before they were left by American soldiers in the Iran-Contra thing with Ronald Reagan. It went back to all the way back to the 80s. They were plotting this for years, and they executed it with U.S. planes. There were people that were on board those particular planes. They lost their lives. They were calling relatives saying, "I love you, I'm going to die." You know, that's the messed up part about it is how, like, the last thing that you want to hear in your loved one leaving you a message or calling you and saying, "I'm on this flight." They were either working it or on a business trip or whatever, and they died. They got killed. The suicide bombers took over the pilots, and those suicide bombers were trained to die. They were promised, I guess, 72 virgins of heaven or something like that, and then they, crashed, and they knew what they were doing. It was executed. They got pilot lessons and stuff like that. Back in 1994, under the Clinton administration, the World Trade Center was attacked via underground. A van ran through it, blew up the basement, but Clinton and them caught it in time, and it was no lives lost, significant, just structural damage. But the thing about it is like when you have a significant loss of life, then you always remembered it. Ground Zero, that's where the World Trade Tower stood. Used to stand, now it's called Ground Zero. There was a remembrance today. Vice President Joe Biden, who's running against President Donald Trump, aka the occupant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, was there with him and Vice Presidential nominee for the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, and ran into Race Bannon, aka Vice President Mike Pence, under the Trump administration. And there was an exchange of the pandemic handshake, the elbow bump, pretty much. Masks were worn, seeing that picture, and it was civil, because this was a civil time, because we're remembering lives lost. Also, first responders who went up in there, police, fire department people who went up in there to try to rescue people from the crumbling terminal tower, World Trade Center. I'm sorry to say terminal tower. World Trade Center building. They tried to rescue people. They got some people out, but you know, they lost their lives rescuing people as well. Now, there were 4 planes that were scheduled to hit. Now, when George W. Bush was president at the time, found out about this, he immediately took off in Air Force One. Now, 2 of the planes hit the World Trade Towers because they were the symbol of America, economic prowess, opportunity, and everything of that nature. One hit the Pentagon, got shot down before, but it hit the side of the Pentagon. The last plane, Flight 93, was supposed to hit Air Force One while it was in the air. They had it hit the Air Force One. The passengers on the other heard about the other 3 planes. The first 2 hitting the World Trade Towers. They heard about those planes, and those people risked their lives to stop the terrorists from crashing in the Air Force One, and those people should be remembered as heroes. All I think it was like 73, 74 passengers. It was early in the morning, so yeah, it wasn't where it was at this particular point in time. So, second of all, I would like to say to those people that